we are ECOLISE, the host of this meeting. It's a European network of community-led initiatives on climate change and sustainability. And it's a meta network of organizations that represent local grassroots initiatives who are working on global sustainability challenges in their local context. And we consider community-led initiatives as laboratories for social change that are trying to respond to this severe social ecological crisis that we are facing, the crossing of planetary boundaries, massive inequalities in this world, which is something that we would like to overcome. And specifically, community-led initiatives are basically united amongst a shared set of values, values such as a voluntary self-regulation in order to be more ethical and to care for the well-being of people and planet. So, which is also known as a sufficiency concept, that sometimes less is more, and we can live happy lives without focusing on consumerism and materialism. But we also need to organize in a different way in order to achieve that. So the community-led initiatives practice that, for example, through collective ownership, collective decision-making, localization of economies, circularity of economies, and really bringing these solutions into their local places. And those are solutions such as mainly social and technological innovations in different sectors, in food and energy and housing, in transport, and much more. And the impact of these community-led initiatives has been researched, and that's also some of the work at ECOLISE. We're trying to understand better what is it actually that we can contribute to these bigger societal challenges. And it is really all about reducing our environmental footprint and reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. And the idea behind ECOLISE as a network and behind Communities for Future as a program is to move these existing solutions from the niches to the mainstream, and thereby really expand the potential impact that they can have. And so this is the quest for us, and in order to catalyze this transformation, we are with ECOLISE working in various different areas. We are connecting community-led initiatives across Europe through our network, through our online platforms, through events and projects. We are enabling people through delivering educational services based on the knowledge and the insights that have been generated within community-led initiatives. And we are also doing advocacy towards EU decision makers in order to actually create enabling policy conditions that can bring the change that's necessary so that more people can actually engage in these kind of initiatives, and that the initiatives themselves actually fully reflect the values that we would like them to reflect. Political change is also very much required. And that's what this policy positioning is about. We have done a lot of policy positioning in the past already. We're hosting events regularly towards the European Union, towards EU decision makers, to try to influence EU policy with our yearly policy event. And we also are going to do this year on the 28th of November, where we're going to present the policy position that we're in the process of developing. And this is what we would like to have your input for. because you are invited here as members and as potential partners who have a specific expertise and knowledge and contribution to bring to this process to create a shared vision around these values that we share at ECOLISE. So I will now hand it over to Nina, who will lead you through our policy positioning process.
Thank you, Amelie. We have a check-in also for you. So we'd appreciate if you could, in the chat, say who you are, which organization you work for. And also if you have a thought about, how could we see and make the European Green Deal a reality on the ground, or how could we make solutions to the planetary crisis a reality on the ground if you don't agree with what the European Green Deal does and wants. So just that we have a bit of a moment to get to know each other, if you could put that into the chat. Okay, so we have a lot of people, I think, who've been here before, and I can see a lot of researchers, but also community-led initiatives, someone from Extinction Rebellion. Very pleased to have you with us. Transition Network Hub Paris. Wonderful. Marek Hartig and Mike are in the council of ECOLISE. Very good to have you here. Also Lina Czerwinskiene from Lithuania is in the council. Very happy to have you here with us. So who is here for the first time? Can you maybe raise your hand or put it into the chat so that I know how many? Marek, right? Alcides, you're here for the first time as well. Okay. So we've got two people who were not there at the last event. We did a kickoff event on the 28th of September on the policy positioning process. Have you had maybe the opportunity to have a look at that, Marek and Alcides?
Yeah, I could read the document, but did not see the recording.
Well, thank you, Marek.
Okay.
You read the document. I know that already.
Yes, yes. It was very fruitful for me because a lot of information, new for me, a lot of information about community-led initiatives because it's different from the community-led local development, which local action groups realize in some European countries. So yes, I read it, and thank you for your work.
Thank you, Marek. Marek is with a leader, a local action group. So that's why Marek was just comparing local action groups to community-led initiatives. And considering that we have two people who are new to this process, I'll just do a quick recap of where we are, which is ECOLISE is currently doing 10 theses on transformational, community-led local development policies. And those of you who've been here on the 28th of September, you know that the whole 10 theses are basically about this one sentence. So we cover what is transformation, why does it need to be community-led, why does it need to be local, what do we mean by development, and why should community-led initiatives connect with politics and policies. You're here as part of the consultation phase, which is ongoing until the 31st of October. So we are currently here, 19th of October. We will have one more event where we will validate the 10 theses. And after that, you're invited to our 28th November main policy stakeholder event. Amelie mentioned it already. It is online, so please register, please save the date. Just a reminder, the 10 theses are really about localization of the European Green Deal and improving the European Green Deal at the same time, because the European Green Deal is the globally most ambitious policy answer to the planetary crisis. There are lots of things to improve, but still, we also do this process because we see that the niche innovations that community-led initiatives have and are experimenting with can be maybe influencing the regime level now. Regime level is mainstream politics, is mainstream economic systems. So we see there is a chance for this transformational change, and ECOLISE members, community-led initiatives, can bring a lot to this change. The image we use is a bit that of a tree. So the canopy is the European Green Deal, the CLIs are the roots, and the question is, how do we connect both of them? You can see here an overview of the 10 theses that we have covered. So you can see that it is a quite holistic approach, defining and delineating and exploring the meaning of transformative community-led local development policies. So the first three theses are about transformation, then 4, 5, and 6 are really about collective action. Then you have the local component in thesis 7, development. What is development and what are we aiming for when we say development is thesis 8, politics thesis 9, and 10 is the question, what do community-led initiatives need to connect and influence the mainstream? What kind of support? So we have basically gotten input to the 10 theses. And I'm just sorry. So the input given so far to the 10 theses is basically that the thesis on nature, human relationships, where we say that it is important to prioritize nature in everything we do, because the planetary crisis is a crisis of nature, but also a crisis of our relationship with nature. and the thesis number 3 on the extractive economic system. So the mainstream extractive economic systems as the root cause for the planetary crisis. That's what people think, and we've gotten around 15 inputs so far through our survey and a Google document, which we have. So people think that these two theses are the ones that will trigger most conversations. Overall, there is an impression that we need more good practice examples. So that's also a call out to you. If you know of any good practice examples, please do let us know. What do we mean by good practice examples? Each of the theses has a place where one can put good practice examples, and that can be either community-led initiatives, so what are they doing that can illustrate the thesis, or it can be transformative local development policies already in place. At the kickoff event, this was something that many people said, that this helps enormously if politicians, municipalities get an example of something which is already happening. They will say, okay, we can do that too. There is a need to improve in the 10 theses, and that's no wonder because they are meant as, offers for conversation. So they were never meant to be perfect, and they aren't. But there is a specific need, and that's quite interesting, why we need community-led initiatives. So our members at ECOLISE, but also scientists, researchers, other CLIs, community-led initiatives to give us input. Because the 3 theses we need to improve, and that's why you're here today with us today, is actually about the specific things that community-led initiatives can bring to achieve transformative change. Thesis number 4, which asks, why is collective action important, led by communities? And this is, we've realized we have a gap in scientific foundation, because you will see in a breakout room, you will have the time to read the thesis and then give input onto that thesis. Collective action is kind of not in the focus of politics at the moment. Individual action is in the focus. And what we want to bring into the focus is really the need for collective action. The next thesis also has to do with community-led initiatives, and it is about values and culture. We say in the first 3 theses, which are dedicated to transformative change, that transformation is all about changing worldviews, cultures, attitudes. In this thesis, we want to say, okay, what are the specific regenerative cultures and values that community-led initiatives can bring to transformative change? And you will see that this links in with the IPBES report that demands that the valuation of nature goes away from a strictly economic focus to a multitude of values, which can be relational, aesthetic, cultural, transcendental, any kind of values in the relation we have in that example with nature can help to be a solution and end or adapt to the planetary crisis. So cultures and values are really at the heart of this thesis. We also have a special need to improve thesis number 6, which is about the sort of innovation that community-led initiatives can bring. And this innovation is also in the science part called transformative social innovation. And we want to make this more palpable. What is it? Because our thesis is that community-led initiatives are niches for experimentation in social innovation. And we need the social innovation in order to get to collective action. and thesis number 10 is also in need of improvement, and that's really a demand to community-led initiatives, but also to researchers. What kind of public support do we need from politics on EU levels, national, but also local levels? So this is really thesis number 10. And as you have been part of giving input to these theses, I'd like to open up now and answer questions you might have. You can ask them in the chat, but we can also talk about these theses. And we will then move on to breakout rooms, which are 30 minutes long, where the idea is to focus on thesis number 4 and number 5. Amelie and I focused on these theses for today, so we will invite you to give input specifically on these two theses in the breakout rooms, which follow in about 10 minutes after our discussion. And this breakout room session will be 30 minutes long. So that's just for your understanding where we are in this event. And if you have any questions on what I've said so far, then put your question into the chat or raise your hand and ask or give your input here. Okay, thank you, Felipe. Thank you. So Felipe of the EuroRegen project said he would give input in the coming days. Thanks for that. So if there is no question or no feedback for now, I suggest to energize it, just to give us a stretch and just to take a breath, because we're going to go into the breakout rooms. And my colleague Laura, while we stretch and look at something else at the screen. So if you've got a green tree somewhere, or if you can see the sky, you can take time to look at the tree or at the sky. And we're going to have, I think 2 breakout rooms are enough because we're 16 people or 15. So Laura, if you could set up 2 breakout rooms, and you will be assigned automatically to these breakout rooms. And in the breakout rooms, we will take 5 minutes to read one of the theses. So each of us has an impression of the thesis, and we'll take the rest of the 30 minutes for a conversation. So it's really meant as a conversation about this thesis, and you will see the theses are structured similarly. So it's always, what's the problem? What can community-led initiatives bring to that problem? And then what is the link to the European Green Deal? So what's in the European Green Deal that is addressing this problem? And our political demand. So how can we improve the European Green Deal and bring it down to local levels? So these are the conversations. And I'm trying to find my colleague Laura. Hi, Laura. So we're going to have a few more minutes to breathe, but we will be ready for the breakout rooms, I guess.
Yes, it's all ready and set up. I named them also with the thesis, and then your name, Nina and Amelie. And Nina, you'll just need to join yourself as the host. I can't assign you. But otherwise, we're all set.
Okay, then I can't see the breakout room yet, but I guess I'll have to stop sharing, right?
Yeah,
okay.
and once I open them, they should come up for you as well.
Right. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, are we ready? Or is there anything? Good, okay. Then have a wonderful conversation, everyone, and I look forward to reconnect after.
Okay, so people got cut off, I guess. Joyce, for example, got cut off. Sorry for that.
No worries. So are we breakout room again, or?
It's 17:31 and I'm looking at my colleague Amelie. Amelie, can we do a quick results round, and because we're earlier than we thought?
We can definitely do that.
Great.
And if
Then
you want, I can reopen also the breakouts if you have a sense to just dive in for another 10 or 15 minutes.
I think it would actually be interesting, I guess, to discuss this in the plenary, which we hadn't planned. So, Amelie, would you like to go ahead? Or should I?
You can kick us off, Nina.
Okay. So, basically, we discussed theory number 4, which is why is collective action so important and not just individual action. And I would like to ask Jean-Paul to say a bit about this, because you said that political action is also collective action and we need to have more deliberative democracy. Is that what you said?
Yes, exactly. Yes, for sure. Yes, when you say individual action is not enough, so we need to have collective action. But collective action can be association. When I say community lead, I say association for France. It's easier. Association actions. So people grouping individuals that discuss together. I wanted to add this point. They are able to discuss together. This is an argument in order to already have a better information and give a better feedback and better ideas to politicians, let's say. Mm-hmm. So that's one point. And then the politicians, as of today, politicians, they do greenwashing to simplify. I mean, even they try to do something, but it's more or less greenwashing, not systemic changes. And they don't listen to association, or they listen to association, just they say, okay, let's discuss a bit, and then they do the project without the association. And they need normally to have the association part of the project at any stage, early enough to have a systemic thinking, and this is what is not done, unfortunately. And at the end, to go in the details and really see, okay, this is not correct or this is correct. And as we say, the devil is in the details, and it's really true concerning many topics. And so for me, the question was to say, if we talk about not individual only, but community, but collective for me, it's really collective with associations very involved. I mean, what you say, community lead, really involved. And it is important. If not, what is done is, and also there is another argument, is the fact that if it's for the politician, then I say politicians to simplify, institution and things like that, but politicians, they can see an interest of that, because if they don't have strong community lead people to discuss with wisdomly, I would say, then they will face a lot of people, individual people, that will react not logically, and it can be very dangerous. And we can see that with like extreme rights growing and things like that. So it's really a danger also for politicians not to take into account this community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. So it's collective action, not just, doing a permaculture garden, urban garden together collectively, but really the political aspect of collective action, which is important. So you do a collective solution like permaculture garden or energy cooperative, but you also talk about it and you try to impact politics. And there needs to be a deliberative, participative democracy principle in basically everything.
Yes, basically, if you take the case of you want to do permaculture, for example, in the area where I am, so you need to say, I need a place to do it, and if you just say this and the municipality, for example, say, okay, we'll give you a place to do it, and they'll give you a place which doesn't suit at all what you need, it's not good. I mean, they need to give you a place which is corresponding to really what is needed. So you need a constant discussion about that. And so, and in these discussions, the problem is that the municipality asks for fundings to, let's say, Europe or region and so, but they receive the funding without having the association validating the project. And so the problem for me is there. It's not normal. For example, for me, European is spending money, giving money to actions and projects that are not correctly set. And as a result, it will not do what is supposed to be done.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jean-Paul. There was also Laurence said something about the cooperation actually being a human trait, which is the trait that made us, successful as humans. Roman Hausmann mentioned social practice theory. Roman, could you just explain that a little for the people who don't know it?
Basically, it's just a set of social science theories that basically just criticize this focus on individuals in policy making, and they argue that targeting individual lifestyle changes is not really effective. So policies should rather try to change the structural conditions that make socially shared practices that are more sustainable, more likely, or enable people to behave more sustainably. And I think it's a very well-established set of theories. So it could be useful as a scientific backing for the thesis. Yeah.
Thank you. And Joyce, just as the last voice from this breakout room, you got broken off. Would you like to say something in the plenary?
Actually, I just wanted to add that the systemic change in how is needed, especially in the terms of how we produce and consume, and regardless that it starts at an individual level, as we definitely need collective action and community-led initiative to really accelerate the transition to circular economy and so on. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Joyce. And that was our group. I think I captured hopefully a lot. Amelie, what about your breakout room?
Yeah, it was also very interesting. And the thesis that we discussed was living the good life beyond economic growth, which values and regenerative cultures do community-led initiatives bring to transformational change. And I would like to ask Laura, who was taking the notes during the meeting, to give a short overview of the main points, and then everyone else can also join in and elaborate on anything that they would like to share.
Yeah, there was some interesting comments, and I think a lot of shared understanding by everybody here participating around like the critique on the Green New Deal, just promoting more growth that's supposedly green, but kind of challenging that as really a pathway forward that's actually sustainable for us to take, and emphasizing much more on degrowth and reduction of our energy and material use, reducing our ecological footprint. There was also the example of donut economics, as a model, where there's both theory and good practices for how to combine the boundaries of what the planet can really sustainably hold, but also a quality of life for all the people, kind of shared as examples, and talking both about changes in the policies, changes on behavior or within people, but also changes in production and the businesses and how companies are run. I don't know, I see this, I think you shared a lot around the degrowth spirit, if you want to add anything at this point.
For me, specifically the contribution to the thesis, looking at the paper, and the way it relates to the Green Deal. I've seen too much emphasis on values or change of behavior, things like that, but not too much in change of the structure of the production, or change of the economic relations that support these values. So, as I mentioned in the breakout room, the change, like collective ownership of land, this kind of things made possible the change, this change of values, to change, to transform reality. Just the values, without the other political changes, or the change in property, things like that. I guess is not something that will really transform. So I guess this changing in the local contribution would be in this sort of experiments, or like make experiments in this where there is this collective ownership. Okay.
Yeah, so I think we had a few examples actually in this direction to see, okay, like what are some values, but also how does that then show up in land ownership, in collective governance or decision making, in bottom-up grassroots approaches. You know, I think Marek, you shared some examples also, both when it comes to funding, to local development, and I think it's an interesting point of how values then get like embodied and implemented on a local community level with the policymakers, in businesses, on a level of ownership, legal structures. Maybe this is even an area where we could discuss further into demands as part of this, you know, policy positioning process. If there are any more specific demands to add, where it's not just, you know, let's celebrate these values, but also if we follow these values, what does it mean on a structural level, on a production level, on an ownership level? So I think this was an interesting point raised, the bottom-up approach very much for sure. And I think also different points around the values, you know, including things, you know, a changed relationship to nature and our appreciation for the environment, but also for social relationships, and how that leads much more to a quality of life on a local level than the GDP of a country, which matters very little in your neighborhood, in your community where you're living. Finding ways to collaborate more, to protect areas, and just I think different comments around how the approach on a local community level is really a powerful intervention point for transformation of any kind, where people care and are connected both to the land and to each other. Yeah, for more also value-driven action.
I will just, thanks
yes.
a lot, Laura. That was a great overview. And I think one of the things that you mentioned was around how to embody other values also through governance and decision making. And I think that was quite interesting in our group, that there were quite many people in our group who have a focus also on that aspect of governance and local decision making, cooperation between eco-villages and municipalities, but also Duncan was mentioning alternative bottom-up structures such as Rojava, which is a very bottom-up approach to governance that's quite different from top-down centralism. And Marek, who is part of the LEADER program, also explained a lot how collective decision-making in the LEADER program is very different from individualism and from just caring for your own profits, your own benefits, and not really respecting or considering the well-being of other people, and thereby using a collective decision-making structure at the local level can help us to think more, what can we actually do in our places so that we can be more within the planetary boundaries and care for each other. So I think those were some of the main thoughts. And Nina, what do you think? Should we go on, or should we give this a bit more space?
I think it is now 17:46. I think we should go on, and I would like to give you just an impression of where we're going from here, and what I've heard now very much confirms the impression that we need input from community-led initiatives and researchers, and especially for the good practice examples. So I'm going to share my screen again, and thank you first of all for these inputs from the breakout rooms. That was really amazing. Thank you. And I'll let you know now, because the question came up, how can you see my screen now? Yeah. So how can you participate? We have taken note of what you said. So your input from today helps a lot, and we will integrate or try to integrate this into the 10 theses. Just for your information, this is a consultation process. So ECOLISE members and partners are being consulted on these 10 theses, because we want to come up with a refined version of these 10 theses, which we then put up for conversation. So it won't be a finalized version of these 10 theses well into the next year, because it's an ongoing conversation. And we at ECOLISE, the members, it yourself, there is a process orientation, and this is more also about the process. So you're invited until end of October to leave a comment if you come up with something more in this Google Doc, and the link is in the slides that you will be sent. So you can comment in the Google Doc from 31st of October to 7th of November. The ECOLISE team, together with the scientific board, a small board of our scientific review members, will integrate comments into the doc and come up with something which is up for discussion for the main policy stakeholder event on the 28th of November, to which we invite you. You can also fill in the survey, which is a bit less maybe time consuming, because you can just say, yes, here I am. I want to be involved in the process, and this is my, thumbs up, thumbs down impression. So for people who are in a hurry, we have open office hours, and they will be tomorrow on Thursday between 5 and 6, and next Thursday between 5 and 6. If you're interested, we'll send you the Zoom link. These are informal sessions. It's more like come for a coffee, we'll get to know each other. So these are informal sessions, which I think is very much needed. Then we have also bilateral or small consultation meetings planned. And Amelie, I'll give over to you at this point for a quick explanation.
Yes, so
coming up.
The meetings are going to be quite similar to what we did here today, but we will, focus on a particular topic for each of these meetings, and we have invited members and partners to join, and you're also welcome to let us know if you're interested in any of those meetings. Then you can send me an email. I'll send you my email address in the chat, and we will try to not have like too large groups regarding also our capacity to facilitate these conversations in a way that everyone is engaged. But just give us a heads up, and it will be at a first come first served basis who can participate. All of these topics are mentioned and are part of the 10 thesis document. So we will also look at the document together again and discuss it.
Thank you. So basically,
sorry, I have a question.
Yeah,
I cannot participate to this small one, but one is interesting to me. So will we have a document, a Google document, where we could add comments also on the specific small meetings, specific meetings you just shown before?
So I would say maybe to clarify, it's a really good question, that actually these topics are kind of collecting different theses together. So it's important for you to know which theses discuss which of these overarching topics, and then you can go into the document and then just comment.
Yeah, okay, yes,
on
this politics stuff can be found also in the 10 list of the 10s, and I can put my stuff here.
Yes, exactly. And I will share with you in the chat which theses are relevant to which of those topics.
Okay.
So it's more clear. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
There is also a possibility, if you're representing an organization, to become a partner in this policy positioning process, because we do this to obviously have a stronger voice as ECOLISE, so ECOLISE members together with partners. Our feeling and sensing is that there are change makers everywhere, in the Commission, in the Parliament, in other NGOs. So the aim is to find change makers and speak with a united voice. So if you're interested in becoming a partner, which is specifically about the 28th of November policy event at this point, let us know. And is there a question about this? No. So this is the 28th November event where we plan to extend the offer for conversation on these 10 theses and on what transformative community-led local development is to policymakers. So this is where you could also become a partner. And I just saw that Joyce, you had a hand open up.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just wanted to double check, because if we're interested in joining you as a partner, in the document there's a link that directs us to email you or something like that, just for me to know how to reach out to you to discuss that.
There is our contacts are in the document and also in the slides that we'll send to you. So Amelie Krug and Nina Klein, that's our names, and these contacts are in the slides and in the document.
Thank you.
Yes, Joyce, thank you. So this is the main policy stakeholder event, which we will be holding with the European Economic and Social Committee, which is an advisory body to the European Commission. And we also hope to do this event with lots of partners and hope to have a member of the European Parliament there, somebody from the Directorate General, so the European Commission, climate, to have also local representative there, together with the Committee of Regions, another advisory body. So to have policy stakeholders present, 5 to 10 policy stakeholders, in order to have a first round of conversations, really. What we want is trigger conversations also throughout the next year. And what we also want is to develop this process, which is now a consultation process, into a co-creation process on specific policy fields. And we're thinking about food and energy systems. The European Green Deal is cut up or separated into specific policy fields. So what we would like to do is have a co-creation phase next year, which means basically really creating positions together and building on the inputs of community-led initiatives, partners, members, and researchers. So this is to let you know where we're going from here. It's now 5 to 6, and I would very much appreciate a round of shared impressions of. I'm just going to have a look at the chat. Laura is leaving now. Okay, bye-bye, Laura. So maybe we could do one round where we just see each other also in the plenary and not the presentation. And my suggestion is you can say maybe a sentence or a word on what you wish for this process. And I can start. I wish from this process that we get good relationships with members and partners and speak with a united voice. And especially that we get now in this phase where Emily and I are going to integrate inputs into the document, that we get lots of good practice examples from you regarding the different theses. So this is my wish for this process. I'll put the wish button into the middle of the room. Whoever wants to pick it up can pick it up. Hope that was understandable, the wish button.
I can take the wish button if you want. Okay. So for me, it's important, as you say, to know what you need, because I mean, we can talk hours and maybe not satisfy, because you have a very focused, I think, but we don't know it, but you know exactly where you want to go. Like you say, we want to have good practice examples. You say also scientific studies and things like that, and examples for like ethic bank or whatever. But so, for example, we have many ideas, many informations, but we really need to understand what you need from there. So you need to guide us where you want us to go and to provide you this information, because it's maybe we can I could talk hours, but at the end you would say no, but it is not what I want. I just want this. So it's important for me at least to know where I can.
Yeah. Good practice examples and scientific basis is, I think, the most important. And also, if you see things that are obviously missing, like today we touched on deliberative democracy as collective action, as a demand, and that was extremely important to know.
Yeah, and for me, for example, collective democracy, it's very big, and on this, I think what is important is a way to practice this collective democracy. There is one way to do it, which is I would say not the good way, which is like asking people, what do you think about this, without any information, any systemic education on that, and so forth, which is a waste of time. And the other way is to have, like we do in municipality in transition, we train the people in order to first to have a NVC, nonviolent communication habit, and also to know more how to run discussions, listening to with the different method of intelligence, collective intelligence, and so forth. So for me, this is really an answer for that. It's important to bring some ideas to the politicians in Europe and so forth, but to tell them also that it needs to be practiced a certain way.
Yeah.
So maybe we can find some studies on that. I can check.
That would be great. Yeah. Thank you, Jean-Paul. So the, how do we call it? Wish button? No. The wish button is up for grabs? No. It's getting worse. Who would like to say something what he or she wishes for this process?
I wish, as Jean-Paul, that I can find a way to jump in and help. For now, I was not enough prepared to understand what really was being done. So I guess next time, next meeting, I can help you better. Thank you very much for this meeting.
Thank you.
Hi again, it's Joyce.
Hi, Joyce.
I wish for this meeting that by the end of it, we will be able to kind of come to a conclusion about a certain action that we can collectively take to achieve our goal and the reason why we're having all of those meetings.
Thank you, Joyce. So anybody else who would like to speak?
I will try to make sense of my wishes and needs. So for me, what is really crucial about this whole situation that we're in right now is that there is a window of opportunity for us to act. That science is telling us that this is the critical decade for us to really shift and transform in order to meaningfully contribute to reducing the harm and regenerate our social ecological systems. And so I think for me, it's always the question, how can we really focus on that potential that exists right now, also within the European context with the European Green Deal, that there will be a next funding period starting in 2023, in which there will be implementations of what has been decided until then. So the next few years are going to be crucial in terms of spending EU money, either in ways that further contributes to destroying the environment or to actually regenerate. So for me, maybe this is the question: how can we gain more strength to be more, to unite amongst a shared vision, amongst clear political demands? So that's something that I'm sitting with. We are a few people here. How can we become a larger group? Or how can we connect with other groups that are also demanding similar positions, and then also become more clear on what we're actually envisioning? And that's really this whole positioning process that we're currently in. So those are just a few thoughts on my side. Nina, you're muted.
The space is still open. It's a few minutes past 6, but if there is somebody who would like to speak, then I suggest to be patient.
I already talked, but maybe there are other people who want to talk, so want to take. So I just wanted to say that, yes, I think that I heard that from, I think it's municipalities and transition leader, which says that, Cristiano says that there is a huge amount of money the European community wants to provide for this Green Deal and so, but we are afraid that it may go to the wrong direction. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I assume that the point for you is to know how can we have at least a bit going to the right direction, which is the community-led initiatives, and that's crucial. So to find a way to do it. So
yeah, exactly. That's thesis number 10 with the perverse subsidies, which do actually the most harm overall.
Yeah, so maybe this could motivate the organizations represented in the CTC to do something to help, hopefully. But we'll see, because they are all focused on their national stuff and busy. But this is really important.
It is, yeah. Thank you. Well, I suggest to also respect people's time, and I thank you for your input. It was really, really fruitful and helps us a lot. Please do stay in touch, fill in the survey, then we have your contact details, and you will get the slides with the survey link and the Google Doc link. Thanks a lot. I enjoyed this a lot, and have a nice evening. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.